Good evening. I call to order the Planning Commission regular session, Cape Charles Civic Center, 500 Tazewell Avenue, October 3rd, 2023. Can I get a roll call, please?
Grossman present. Ashworth present.
Strode present.
Holloway present.
Let it be noted that we have a quorum. If everyone would stand for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, on the consent agenda, I have some on the agenda format, I have some additions. Under B, approval of minutes, add number 2, August 21st, 2023, Town Council and Planning Commission joint work session minutes that we all got a copy of. And then under new business, there's really two things. This first one should be new business 7A should be zoning map amendment, ZMA 2023-03 application for Cherry Stone Investments LLC. We have to talk about that, and then B can be the rest of that. Okay, so based on that, does anyone object to approval of the consent agenda as amended?
No? I move that we accept the...
Okay, okay, hearing no objection, yeah, the consent agenda will be taken by common consent.
All right.
Okay, so now we have the public hearing. So the Cape Charles Planning Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023 at 6 p.m. in the Cape Charles Civic Center, 500 Tazewell Avenue, to receive comment on the following request. Zoning map amendment ZMA 2023-03 application from Cherry Stone Investments LLC to rezone tax map number 90-A-1A6 from general business / light industrial GBIH-1 to Harbor District pursuant to Cape Charles zoning ordinance section 2.7.2 and section 3.9. This application was placed in the Eastern Shore Post. So, Ms.
Sure, if I may, you have a staff report before you. We've given you a narrative of the proposal. In the application itself, as we've made you aware, it is currently a parcel that has split zoning on it of Harbor and GBIH1, and the property owner is seeking to bring this only to a Harbor zoning designation. Relative to a specific use, they indicate in the application a live, work, business, but they've also begun conversation with me for a golf cart path from the Bay Creek properties that would connect with Bay Shore Road. This went to the town council, and they passed a resolution of intent to send this to you to start the public hearing process, of course, and then moving it on to the town council, and we are scheduled for that public hearing on October 19th, assuming we receive a recommendation from you. Some of the background associated with this, so Southport Investors began this process back in 2021 for a creation of a subdivision plat to create this new parcel of 90-A-1A6. And they took some acreage from two different parcels at that time and brought this into a new parcel creation. This happened while the town was also considering some zoning considerations, zoning text amendments, and zoning map amendment at that time. So it looks like it crossed paths along the way as it went through the various processes of the subdivision plat creation and when the zoning map items are going forward, as you may recall, on the concrete plant conversations back in that summer. So, with that said, it was done at that point under Southport Investors. Just to make you aware, this property has changed the deed of distribution that was done in December of 2021 from Southport Investors. It was conveyed over to Cherry Stone Investments LLC, who is our applicant today. As this relates to our comprehensive plan, I have provided you the future land use map showing which is primarily sitting with the Harbor District Industrial. There is some conservation, open space there as it butts against, the Bay Creek HUD. And of course, as you get closer to the water, that is more moving to just a plain harbor consideration. As it relates to our zoning ordinance, again, we have a surrounding of mixes occurring here. As I've indicated, we have the PUD to the direct south of this parcel, which does include both PUD open space and PUD R2. Further to the north, on the west side, is 3 parcels that are zoned industrial M2, and the parcels that hug the Cape Charles Harbor are zoned harbor. To the east, there are 2 parcels that are owned by the Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreation. And while these have been placed in permanent conservation easements, they have never petitioned the town to change the underlying zoning on it. And I completely understand that they would not want to spend those funds when they're placed in conservation easements on a permanent basis. I have, as you know, in our conversations we're having on our zoning revisions right now, I have recommended that the town may wish to consider rezoning it on their own via petition and making all of the DCR property open space. In that regard, moving on directly to the northeast, there is the property where Fujifilm Waco Chemicals, that building is located, and that is still zoned harbor. Otherwise, the remaining directly touching properties, excluding Bay Creek to the south, are all zoned CBI H1. I've provided you the intent statements out of our zoning ordinance for both the harbor district and the general business / light industrial H1 district. The rezoning of this parcel to only be harbor allows a small buffer from the truly open space land to the east to the general business light industrial harbor 1 GBI H1 zone properties to the west and north. And from a staff perspective, we are supportive of this rezoning application.
Thank you. I see the applicant is here. Would he like to say anything?
Just that we hope you support this, that Cherry Stone Investments is just a holding company of Southport. There's an absolute intention to leave the golf cart path there, which I think the Bay Creek people have enjoyed and used, and we just hope you understand why. We have 1.4 acres that's harbor, and 0.3 of an acre that's industrial. Let's make it all one thing, please.
All right, thank you. Have there been any public comments? No?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we close public hearing.
All right. So we have a motion to close the public hearing in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the public hearing is closed. Do we have any, moving on to 5, do we have any citizens, any other comments that are not related to the public hearing?
Who would have them?
I don't think so.
It could have been an email.
Nothing. All right. We have no unfinished business. New business. Zoning map amendment, ZMA 2023-03, application from Cherry Stone Investments LLC to rezone tax map number 90-A-1A6 from general business light industrial GBI H-1 to harbor district pursuant to Cape Charles zoning ordinance section 2.7.2 and section 3.9. Discussion.
I got a bunch of comments or questions. One is, what is the width of the parcel, please? So in the survey, I cannot.
If I remember this from a future land use area, isn't it like 90 feet wide?
It had to be widened to the point that it would accommodate a state road capacity if they were looking to put in a road to service into the backside of Bay Creek. I remember having a conversation with the applicant at that time when he was putting in the subdivision plat. You're right, I can't read this from here, and I did bring my magnifying glass, but
May I answer
Sure.
Maybe make it larger.
79.85 on the north end, and 90 feet on the south end.
Okay.
All right, so I brought this up at the town council meeting, and I want to get into this a little bit with regards to the dates associated with paperwork on this item. The particular tax map 98181, town council had started, or received, the planning commission received a notification to go and start considering that to convert into GBI from Harbor. So that's April of 2021. We went through a whole series of meetings and public hearings, and ultimately, town council approved August 19th, 2021. So that's when Harbor was changed into GBI H1 for this one particular parcel, okay? The other parcel that they're drawing from is already GBI H1. All right, so my question is, timing-wise, how we're figuring the tax parcel 98181 is considered Harbor still when we're considering this. We had in the staff report indicating that during the midsummer of 2021, Southport Investors was considering this. Well, that's in parallel to what town council was doing at the same time. We had passed our rezoning August 19th of 21. The survey that's in our package is October. Now, that's 2 months afterwards. And then the application a week later, which is October 15th. And that's when the town approved on the plat a change, and Katie had lined out some of the nomenclature there relative to what is there. Ultimately, it was sent to the circuit court for recording on 10/27. And now, in August of 2023, we have a request coming in order to take what I consider GBI H1 and GBI H1 together to this next parcel. So I'll just ask Katie, timing-wise, how are we passing judgment on something that the town council had already redesignated zoning-wise?
Because at that point, when the application came in for the subdivision plat, it started, as best as my recollection can get me there, is sometime in June. I ended up having this initial conversation with the applicant. The concrete plant stuff started that summer as well. So there was conversations going on. I knew a portion of that parcel was getting carved off into its own new parcel. And then the concrete plant, when that application came forward, only described a certain area for rezoning. So they were meant to run in parallel. They kind of got out of step because we had a lot of public comment as a result of that application from the rezoning in particular. Text amendments that were being thrown out for the board's consideration. So that's the best I can recall. We got out of sync because we ended up hunting a little bit and reshuffling some of the zoning text amendment concepts and rewriting some of that. And then we were considering holding back on approving the text, the maps amendment, but then we moved forward and approved some of them. There's a lot happening that summer of 2021 in the planning and zoning department trying to move forward.
All right, so again, coming back to the dates, what is appropriate for us to consider, given the survey is dated October 8th, 2021?
Well, the final version, yes, because there were revisions that happened, and it may not have reflected, but it had already been actions occurring at the town council level. It was a survey in process. We've been through a couple of draft versions, as best I can recall.
All right, but you lined through on that survey
Yes.
and actually changed the designations to something other than what the town council approved in August of
Because it
24.
never, town council never approved this little sliver of land.
It doesn't matter. The sliver of land was created out of these two other parcels.
I understand, but we were already acting as if the subdivision plat was moving forward to approval. So we may have made an error on our part, Mr. Grossman, but I can tell you, our intent was to try and respect what the applicant was attempting to do, which was to carve off land from one parcel, to two parcels, and bring them together. And at the time when the process started, those two parcels were zoned differently. Sure, if they would like to hear from you.
Well, let me say something first. So 90-8-1A5 is GBI, right? I mean, it is
Yes.
zoned GBI H1. And then the other one, that, I don't know if that's all, that, it shows on my packet here, it says zoning harbor, and it shows on the existing zoning map that it's harbor, okay? So we have one harbor and one GBI.
And that's where I'm disagreeing.
Yeah, but you see, we approved this, we've approved this as harbor. I mean, that's what the zoning map, existing zoning map. So, but you're saying at the time is
That's
what you're.
correct.
Right, and he's not incorrect. So at that time, this parcel,
Right,
which a portion of this little red one down here, so this parcel had a little portion of this red one.
see, I can't,
The southern parcel, in the
Yes.
middle, yeah.
Yes.
so is this, are we talking this whole thing right here?
Not the
Except
whole, not
it's
the
not
whole
that.
thing. I'm talking
This,
this parcel,
Yeah,
this parcel.
right.
And then a sliver of what is now coming
okay,
straight down.
all right, okay.
So at that time, when the subdivision plat started to work its way through the system, that parcel was zoned harbor. Yes. And then, yes, a petition from the concrete plant. Was it concrete?
No,
No, this came from Southport
Southport.
Investor.
On behalf, I know the concrete plant was considering being the ultimate user and purchaser of that property. So there's much conversation about how the concrete plant would be using it at that time. And so, yes, the rezoning petition was to make that go to GBI H1. And I'll admit, maybe this is a mistake on the staff's part at that time, that we didn't recognize, okay, well, I had zoning happening over here, I had plat coming through as well at the same time, and trying to change surveyors to fix plats was time consuming. And getting a surveyor to move a plat, once they gave it, submitted into my office, could anywhere be from a 2-week wait to 6 weeks or 8 weeks. And now at this point, we're at 2 months, but anyway,
So
so.
go ahead.
the first part of that lot, the bigger part, that whole thing that the state called DCR, the whole lot was Harbor District. And when the state bought that, we were talking with Bay Creek before the present owners, and we kept that Harbor District for that golf cart path. And then we added that next bump to it. So in my recollection, the Harbor District was there from the day we bought it from the county.
It could have been, I'm
Yeah.
not terribly clear on this, so I know at this point, as clear as this up, this gets us to one zoning designation at this point.
Absolutely.
So I get you like to understand the history of it, I'm not saying I terribly know it well, I'm trying to the best of my recollection to recall that very chaotic period when I was hired by this town to fix a large backlog of work.
All right, what I'm trying to get to is accuracy in our staff report relative to the application and the timing with the survey and our
I
rezoning.
can tell you, I went through 3 versions of the plat submission to my office. I can tell you that much. So yes, the initial plat application and intent started in midsummer. And it took us several more corrections to the plat before I would accept it. Which didn't happen until mid-October.
And it's my recollection when we first bought that property, if you went through that golf cart path, and you're going from north to south, to the east, there is an old ditch that was there back when it was farmed by the Goffin family. Racine Seal was the town manager, and she had signed off on something that was Harbor District, and we're looking at another piece to the east of all that.
Well, when we went through the rezoning of this whole area, it was very difficult to follow, and that's what I'm saying. I've got records that show what we've done and what we concurred with by date. So I'm trying to just line up what we're asking for now, given what we had approved earlier on in 2021.
Well, what I think I'm hearing you say to me is you think this parcel really does not have split zoning, you think it all has a GBI H1 zoning designation?
That's my feeling based on dates.
Okay.
It's coming in from those two parcels, one being GBI H1, and the one that we were talking about being Harbor is really GBI H1 that we rezoned in August of '21. All right, let me just continue on. Just hold the thought. Getting to our future land use map, okay, that you have inserted in there, we have no sliver for Harbor that will differentiate between ultimately the conservation area that's right now Harbor and GBI H1. So this is really what our future land use map is designated. It doesn't say put a sliver of Harbor over there. So that's another issue I have with this particular item. We're doing something that's contrary to our future land use map that's in our comprehensive plan.
I would make the suggestion, because I do feel having Harbor versus Harbor District Industrial Service some sort of buffer, because otherwise I continue to just have that industrial on the backside of residential. And I know there is a subdivision coming down here in this purple area. I know there is. So if I can put a little better buffer of usage there, I think that's worth a consideration.
Contrary,
It is.
contrary to our future land use map.
It's,
Slightly, yes.
Well, it's not slightly, it's yes.
So, yes.
Okay, well, that's
Versus-
two,
Versus a conservation open space of future land use map versus the current zoning of it. And again, we can continue to debate what that zoning is, our maps. As you know, we have been working our best to try and improve and correct our zoning maps.
all right, the buffer, let's continue with the buffer then. And one of the reasons I asked for the width of this parcel, new parcel, if a road is being considered, that's going to be a buffer itself. I don't need to put Harbor in there. I'm not sure what else we're expecting to build when we talk work-life.
Well, you
If
know,
it's just a road, it's a road. Why couldn't GBI H1 accommodate a road?
It could, and again, I can't say, and I could be wrong in saying I've had this conversation with you, Mr. Ball, and I've had it, definitely with preserved communities. What would be the consideration of providing an alternate entrance into Bay Creek?
Mm-hmm.
And I've asked them, what would that location be? And they've indicated somewhere back in this area.
And that's fine, that's
Yeah.
great.
I do know when I was doing the plat discussion with him, I said, if you're ever going to develop this, it would need to sit on a road, and if you're gonna have multiple tenants there, having road frontage would be important for that. And so, yes, making sure that we are building a lot, a newly created lot, large enough to meet road standards was considered. There was
Okay,
no
and that's
that
my
was it.
question. We're dancing around as to what this is going to be utilized for. And if it's just a road, GBI H1 can accommodate it.
it's not just a road.
Then what is it?
We don't know, because we don't know what our designation is.
You- Go ahead.
Sir, we invested in this land in the year 2006. It's 2023. Every time we've tried to do something with a piece of our land, the town has been in flux. That's not even a debatable statement. You can just look at look at the history. If somebody wanted to go back there and put a little bicycle repair shop, for a and they wanted to be able to have customers come by cart path from Bay Creek, they need that zoning.
And I'd say yes. And I'm asking, given the width of that, how can I fit both a road and these
Well,
establishments?
why does she have to build a road?
Well, you just said, you haven't described what this is being utilized for. You're asking for a rezoning from us.
Mr. Grossman, I was not told that I had to come to a hearing and define every single thing that I was going to use this lot for before that was decided whether or not you would vote on it. Now, I have never once heard from Bay Creek and its proper owners today that that would ever be a road, nor is the village J or K that's being proposed behind that has a road outlet out of there, for the lack of a better word, a cul-de-sac, is that what you call it?
And you're correct, they're not designing it as if there
Yeah,
would be a road.
There's no road there, period. I can't imagine that they would ever want a road through that, because then all of a sudden your buildable envelope becomes a bit smaller. So to come here or to ask anybody to say, I need to know exactly what you're going to do, I don't know that that's really fair. I think that we got a piece of land and we want to have it all homogeneous in one thing so we know what we can do. And that's kind of been a problem for my father and I since 2006. Since 2006. I'm not trying to be negative or mean. It's just the facts of the zoning. And if we have somebody who wants to have a great outdoor living, the program, but an outward shop there. They want to build a building that meets Harbor District standards like sewage plant and have a stand-up paddleboard, bicycle, whatever. I never, ever heard one person say they want to put a road all the way through.
That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah, but
Okay?
I've never heard that. I've never heard that. And if you put it all the way through, you would then need not 50, you would need 64 feet total. Well, 64 feet through a lot that's 78 feet at one place and 90 feet at another place, you might be able to put up a row of phone booths. But otherwise, you don't have anything. So a road is like, it doesn't make sense, it doesn't work. So it's
All right, so you've gone through Harbor and said what your thoughts may be applicable to Harbor more so than GBIH 1.
Without a doubt. The only reason is that you guys realize, let's say there are some people who want to camp or they want to have a bunkhouse because they're going to have a SUP, somebody can come. In Harbor, you're allowed to do that. You cannot build a freestanding home in Harbor.
I don't recall.
Yeah, I don't think you can. But having looked at this for many, many years, you could have like a guest bunk type situation there, and that's it. But I've had some pretty intense conversations with the equity owners of preservation, of Bay Creek. That road ain't going to be paved. I've had one 3 hours ago. Road ain't going to be taken.
And I'm not saying the road is on the table, I'm making you aware of conversations that I've had in my office relative to if a road could be considered as a secondary entrance. I heard about this, about an ancillary entrance for the workers, for the construction crews and companies that are doing work in Bay Creek. I've heard that, and I know I've had a conversation at one point in time, and I expressed grave reservations if they could ever accommodate that coming somewhere off this south end, this eastern side of property. But I'm just sharing that with you. I do know I did have that conversation when the plat was being created. There needed to be a minimum width size of the parcel itself to meet the potential of a road development if that should be part of any project. I will make one correction, Mr. Baldwin. Both in our rezoning applications, in the ordinance itself, and in the documentation, yes, we do have a requirement that says, describe the proposed use of the rezoned property, including a site plan with the proposed type of site improvements and buildings. small parcel of land, and everything I keep hearing from you is golf cart path.
And an outdoor place, and the fact that there is a huge water retention pond that goes to that, which handles any water runoff or stormwater issues. Because the next thing you'll see is a plan by Neville once we get to that, the engineer.
They plan for this 1.799 acres.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, he can't plant, I mean, if I could, I've done this before, Mr. Grossman, and had this planning commission put some restrictions on something the year before we built the yacht center, that the town council just said, that doesn't even make sense. So I'm just trying to make sure that I have permission to go forward.
How soon would you be able to bring something to the table as to what you would envision for this piece of land?
I think probably the day after the council votes, whether it's all zoned or not. I could share it with Katie now, to share it with you all now.
Well, what I'm thinking, if we make a motion for recommendation here, I would personally like to see a hook on it relative to the next step.
Yeah, it's, what kind of hook?
The hook is the timing. Submit something that will state what your intention is for that particular line, rather than just open-end that forever this land is harbor.
Well, you know what, Mr. Grossman, you can certainly put a hook on it if you want. You know, sadly, I don't, you and I don't share the same feeling about that. We've never decided to do something and not done it. Never once. So, I'm sorry to see anybody hooked. There's been a lot of hooking around this county for a lot of years. And, but I have no problem sitting down, or Neville, who's a very respected engineer, sharing our plan with Katie, tonight, tomorrow, it doesn't matter. But I just, you've invested the money we've invested around here, and every time you get questioned, or knocked, or ticked, or complained, if your father gets threatened in a vehicle when he's in a wheelchair, because somebody doesn't like the climb, you tend to get a little careful of what's going on. And, you know, we have never done anything in this county that has been offensive. I can sit right here and show Katie what the plan is right now, and, has nothing to do with the road. The road would knock it all the way out of the gate. And, you know, if you think you've got to put a hook on it, then you've got to put a hook on it. I would feel very sorry for any human being in this county that felt as all boards had to put a hook on it. It's never done well in this county, and you can look at the numbers and tell.
Katie, can I ask a question? And I'm sorry, this might be a little bit of a mundane question, so I apologize to the commission. So I've looked at the map, looked at the adjoining sort of properties on Bay Creek. I just want to make sure that I understand correctly the parcel of land that we're talking about. Is this currently where the golf cart path is, where you come off of Nicholas 2, and you take that?
Yes,
Yes, 2.
yes.
Yeah, you come off of 2, there's the cart path, and that takes you to the open entrance.
Yeah,
Okay, that's what I thought. And we're talking about at the widest point, this is only going to be, what was
90
the?
feet.
90 feet.
At Nicholas 2, it's like 90.78, and at,
79.85.
and 79.85 at the other end.
Which is Patrick
Okay.
Henry.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure I was on the same page with everybody, okay?
Anything else, discussion-wise? Okay, so, do I have a motion to recommend rezoning this portion and passing it on to town council?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair. I'll make a motion to recommend rezoning our tax map 90-A-1A6 to harbor, fully designating this parcel as harbor zoning. And I am also going to provide the hook, so to speak, is that plans for this parcel is to be delivered within 6 months to our planning organization.
Okay, you got a motion, anybody second that?
Second.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Okay, no discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Did you get that down, Katie?
I think that you made the second. Yes, I got it.
Okay. All right. Item B, review and adopt the 2024 application and meeting schedule and discuss next meeting for November due to a new state holiday for Election Day.
Yeah, so when we adopted our calendar a year ago, at approximately this time, the state, I don't recall, had set that they would now be giving Election Day permanently as a state holiday. So every Election Day from here on out is now a state holiday, which November 2nd, sorry, not yet, November 2nd of this year is a holiday. So we need to pick a new date. In that same vein, we came out of the last joint work session with town council with no date yet picked for a reconvening of another joint work session. I have heard this today as to what the availability may be from the town council members, and right now there's a preference to look at October. Thank you. I know this is getting ahead of myself, but I want to throw everything out on the table for us to talk about. Is October 24th or October 31st as a work session to come back in and continue the conversations on the zoning ordinance discussion.
October 31st?
So I need to poll you guys. We have not confirmed or said anything. That's why I'm here talking about this with you this evening.
Now, what happened to November 2nd?
That is still on the books. November 2nd is still a work
All right.
session, and as the town manager indicated at the last meeting, that is going to be designated solely for discussion of the short-term rental proposal coming out from the short-term rental committee.
That's new. That wasn't discussed last week.
I think he told you STR.
Did you say that?
I thought, I don't know.
I don't remember saying that.
Yeah, we're getting subcommittees mixed up with.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and he has informed that to the STR committee, that he has already reserved the November 2nd work session between the two bodies to hear the rollout of the draft proposal. Before we start rolling it out any further, we want to see if we are hitting the target or if we're far to go. So, we still need to pick the work session of coming back on zoning considerations, and then what do we want to do in the month of November for a regular meeting. And my first initial thought, if you'd asked me a week ago, is we may not need a regular meeting, but I believe we will need a regular meeting in November. Because in talking with
Okay, so
Should we
we,
meet on the 14th, and that way it doesn't
No.
get into the
No.
Thanksgiving week?
well, you know, other people have other things going on, you know.
I understand, that's why we're having.
We do have an alternate day, and that's the third Monday,
It could be November 20th.
20th. I know that's Thanksgiving week,
Okay.
but that's Monday.
And that's the one we set aside for traditionally our work sessions
Okay.
for this body. So we could use that as our regular session meeting, November 20th.
Yeah, I can't.
I guess
You
I
will-
can't make it that week.
first of November's not good, but it's a Wednesday.
Wait, we're on November 20th, which is
I know.
the third Monday of the
Who-
month. Let's
is
start
that-
with that one, it's a yay or nay.
Is November the 20th, besides Commissioner Grossman, who else does that conflict with?
I can make that work.
Okay.
I'm
should
good,
be
I'm
all right.
good. You're good?
No.
So we got 4.
Yeah, we could do the 20th, if we can wait that long, nothing,
Yeah.
It's the only item, otherwise I was gonna say, we don't need a regular session. I was prepared, if you'd asked me this Friday, I would've said, let's cancel the regular meeting in November. But having had this conversation today, I'm hearing,
oh, okay.
Okay, well, I mean, we,
council is moving forward on the library renovation proposal, the library property proposals as a whole. And part of that proposal is segregating out those 2 lots on the backside, which are residential. They're not residentially zoned. They're residentially sized under our residential zoning district, but they've been classified as commercial for some time. And as part of that proposal, they would like to petition for that to be rezoned back to residential. So I'm hearing that that's something they would like to have happen before that entire project and bid is finalized. Acceptance of bids.
so you got 4 people that said the 20th, so
Which one?
20th. Okay.
So, with that said, I know I've thrown a lot about calendar issues, that doesn't even adopt us to the next 2024 calendar. I just wanted to get our 2023 calendar issues resolved at this time. And we still need to pick work sessions to discuss in joint with them the continuation of our zoning ordinance conversation. So, as I mentioned, 10/24 in October, this month, that was the first preference I've heard that would be workable from it so far. I think at least four town council members.
Right now, I think it might be 5, but I still haven't heard from 2.
Okay, so 5 town council members, 10/24 works. So what does that do for you guys?
I'm not available on that evening.
10/24?
10/24, and that is, again, this puts us 4 weeks from now.
Yeah.
It's Tuesday night, the 4th Tuesday of the month. So for Bill, it's a no.
Jen, it's a yes.
I'm a yes.
So
24th? 24th,
24th of
October.
October. What, in the evening?
It's a Tuesday evening, you would start at 6 PM. My understanding, 6 will work. Bill?
Okay.
That
Okay,
would work
so
for
you got 4.
Okay, so that would work. Okay.
And that's our work session.
You
That
s-
would be our work session to continue conversations on the zoning ordinance amendments. We put out in the last meeting as well that we wanted to convene another work session on November 2nd. So while everybody now has their calendars in front of you.
I'm okay with that. I've already,
Okay, so then we're also gonna do an 11/2 work session. Again, I know the specific topic is supposed to be only short-term rental discussions.
Will there still be a meeting on November 20th?
Yes.
Yes.
That's a regular meeting, I'm talking work sessions. at
Okay,
the
work
moment.
session, right.
Joint-
Regular
joint-
session I did first.
joint work
Got it.
Joint work session.
Join with town
No, work
council.
session on November
Okay.
2nd.
Now I got it.
November 2nd would be a work session, again, with town council. And I know the specific content, the specific topic we would be focusing on is the
With town
short-term
council.
rental proposal coming out of the committee. And everybody seems okay with that too.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, moving on to adopt
Well, I can tell you right now, Tuesday, the 5th of November is an election. Yeah, it's a national election, okay? So,
Okay, so we pick something else for November of next year as well. Okay? Are there any other dates that are problematic for us at this point in time? So could we make a suggestion to move the November 2024 date to November 12th, would be the subsequent Tuesday? See the shaking of the no.
I have something every Tuesday, on the second Tuesday, so, but,
We could do the third Monday, November 18th.
yep, we could do the third Monday. Just, that's,
How does that sit with everybody? November 18th of 2024 being inserted here into our calendar. So if that is the case, I'm going to back up our application deadline
What date?
and put that to, I'm going to keep this on a Tuesday, October 26th.
Did you say
What are we,
November?
what are we doing here?
November, okay. So on the calendar here,
Yeah,
instead of November 5 of 2024, we're going to move it to November 18th.
18th.
It's the third Monday of the month. And then as part of that, we will change the deadline for applications to come in for that agenda. And again, I'll put it 1 month
oh,
prior,
that's
so
the year,
that will put
that's
me,
2024.
keep it on a Tuesday, because we're trying to move, Thursday, I'll move on a
Okay.
Thursday, so that would be November, so October 17th.
what was that?
2024,
October 17th, 2024 would be the
2024,
deadline of
okay.
applications
Oh,
to
okay.
get on your
All right.
November agenda.
Okay. All right,
With those corrections,
yeah, because of the
you
holiday.
accept this calendar. I would need a motion.
Make the motion that we accept the calendar as amended?
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Okay.
I know that was a little painful, but I appreciate your diligence working through calendars.
Will you push that corrected calendar out to us?
Yes, we will.
I just want to make sure.
A lot of new dates.
No, I missed a meeting because it got rescheduled.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
That's it. I did give you some supplemental reading materials. You don't need to have any conversation. It was really just meant for your information. And if you care to discuss any of it, we can do so, but that's all I have for this evening.
How about as far as monthly report, anything to report there?
I have nothing further. As you all know, zoning revisions are my focus.
Okay. So,
So you guys can see what I gave you in my monthly report. If you have any questions, you can ask me, but I'll do the best I can to remember anything else.
so number 10, announcements, next meeting is, it's now Monday, November 18th.
Yeah, that's for 2024 though.
No,
right?
2023.
November 20th.
20th, I'm
20th
sorry.
of this year.
Okay, whatever.
2023.
Okay, it's Monday.
In November.
Okay. Yeah, so
when we meet.
then,
Regular session.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Thank
So-
you.